How's it going, everybody? It's Pot of Flame, and we are back with another deadline stream here on Twitch. And it's an interesting one. Game week 23. A lot of changes that people are trying to make up some points, trying to make up for last week, even though some people got some pretty high scores, but red arrows, like myself. And we had double game weeks announced as well, so people are potentially bringing in players for that. Some of them look pretty good. Some of them we already have. So we'll be taking a look at kind of my potential transfer plans going forward. I've already made transfers for this week, so we'll take a look at those as well. We'll be looking at the Whipping Boys table, so we'll see who has emerged up on that in terms of the worst defenses. We will also be taking a look at potential captaincy options for this week, because a lot of people are, potentially straying away from Son now that Kane's not necessarily in the team. We'll look at the goals imminent table as normal, the season ticker, and just general chat about this game week. And we'll kind of probably take a look ahead at the double game week fixtures as well in 24 and 25, with one eye on that going forward. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, team up on the screen right now. Made 2 transfers already. And I was considering a third one, but just before we went live, I was looking at some of the stats, and then I was thinking to myself, why would I even think about making that transfer, even though you would think it would make sense on paper? And I can always just do the transfer next week if I wanted to. But yeah, the transfers that we made were, we took out Johnston, who was our second goalkeeper on our bench, out for Nick Pope. And we took out Rob Holding for Ben Mee. So we are benching 2 of our City defenders, Diaz and Stones. We've gone with Cancelo, who's the attacking option out of the 3. We've organized it in Diaz first because he's more likely to play, and then Stones. And Diaz has been, threatening for a goal for several weeks, so he would be the one to come in, and with Calvert-Lewin ahead of them, he's unfortunately the one that has to make way to the bench in that regard. So, with the rumors that and what Klopp said in the press conference, with Liverpool potentially having some of their important players back, I think Liverpool could definitely do quite well versus City this week. I'm easily captaining Werner. Just hope he starts. Yep, that is a risk, Zaka. That is definitely a risk. I like Chelsea's new look, to be honest. I think if they keep playing with the wingback system, because I think it suits them, it definitely suits Reece James, because he doesn't have as much defensive responsibility. And I think it definitely suits Alonso more than it does Chilwell, because Alonso is so good in the box that we might see him playing more than Chilwell. Mind you, they'll probably get more rotated than the likes of Reece James, because I think ultimately Thomas Tuchel wants to play Hudson-Odoi in the front 3. So we'll see how that kind of manifests itself. If he starts, I think he will score. If not, he will probably come on in the 90th minute. Well, yeah, that could be a problem. And then he'll get you 1 point. Oh, 2 points, yeah. Because he's a captain, right? Makes sense. But yeah. Definitely going to be an interesting week. So let's take a look at the fixtures to start off with here. So, doubling up on the second set of fixtures here with Burnley, Brighton, Newcastle, Southampton. Not really too much that people are kind of looking at there. How's it going, Harry? Glad that you could join us. A lot of people are going to pay attention to probably how Aston Villa do versus Arsenal. People are also going to probably be paying attention to West Ham versus Fulham and Man United versus Everton. Those are probably going to be the main fixtures for today for some people. At least viewing wise, attacking wise, whereas the more defensive side of things are going to be for Burnley and Brighton, I would think. But yeah, Villa versus Arsenal could be interesting. David Luiz obviously suspended for this game. Bernd Leno suspended for this game as well. So they could be going into this one with Runnerson, who is not the greatest goalkeeper from what I've seen. So he could be a bit of a problem for Arsenal because he's not the greatest goalkeeper. They did get Matt Ryan. I think he was either on a free or loan or something from Brighton. So if he plays, then maybe they're a bit more assured. Mind you, he wasn't very great at Brighton, but who knows? Things might change. But Villa, they were pretty handily, and comfortably beaten by West Ham. And I think that they're gonna definitely want to basically rectify that. And with potentially some major injury doubts on Arsenal side of things, I think Aston Villa should be able to find their way around the situation quite easily. David Luiz being out helps us. I agree, it does. And Ryan will start in goal probably. Yeah, I thought he got a little bit of a knock in training or something. But maybe he's overcome that, so we will see. Maybe that was why he wasn't on the bench when in the Wolves game. But we will see. I think it's definitely going to be a tough game for Arsenal. Arsenal not necessarily noted for their away form historically, and Aston Villa are going to be a tough ask for Arsenal. And they're up on the list first, so we will see. I'm going to have Emi Martinez benched in that game for our latest transfer acquisition. And I don't have any other Aston Villa players, although I'm probably going to be looking to get some in for the double game week, if not wild card, for them as well. So no worries there. The next two fixtures, Burnley versus Brighton and Newcastle versus Southampton. I'm not sure what fixtures you guys are going to be watching, but I'm probably biting my fingernails off watching every time the ball is shot at Nick Pope's goal. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Newcastle versus Southampton should be interesting because Newcastle are a team that are very much in a bit of muddy waters at the moment. People not happy with the manager and Steve Bruce, and they're really trying to change the way they want to play because the fans are not happy with the identity of the football that they're playing. They don't seem to have a plan, all that sort of stuff. And then Southampton, they've just come off a 9-0 drumming, although the last time that happened, which was literally last season, funnily enough, against Leicester, they went on a massive run. So be wary of Southampton. Don't try to kick a wounded animal while it's down, because it might come back fighting. So could be a lot of fireworks in that one. But obviously I'm interested in the Burnley-Brighton game because I have double Burnley defense. Fulham versus West Ham. This is where my captain will be playing. I'm going to be going for Antonio. I think he's the best captaincy option this week. The data shows it. I'm going to see if I can pull up a table on the side here while I have the chance to do so. Let's see. He was TED Talks FPL, and he had a picture that he posted. Here it is. So I'm gonna bring that. I'm gonna keep that for later. But basically, that game is most likely to have a bunch of goals in favor potentially of West Ham, which is interesting. And Antonio's also due one as well. Stones or Mane, one has to be benched. Already got Cancelo playing. I would say you're playing Mane. Excuse me. Always play the attacker. And if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. If there's any chance that Mane plays, is available, he's starting. He's not going to put him on the bench. He would have seen Mane's injury and been like, okay, we need you for the City game if there's any other game. So he's going to make sure that he's fully fit for that. Apparently Mane's back, Fabinho's back, and Alisson's back. So that provides a big boost to Liverpool. So likely they can play at least either Henderson or Fabinho in midfield, which bodes well for Liverpool. But they have an extra day of rest. Well, I say an extra day of rest, but they play on Sunday, so they get one extra day. So we won't know like fully. Like things can happen between now and Sunday. And then United versus West Ham. United versus Everton. That's United play midweek next week. They have Everton, and both times they played Everton, the game ended up being quite comfortable. More so in the Carabao Cup, where basically the strategy was Maguire and Bailly pushed right up, press them inside their own half, and just basically make it so that they don't have time on the ball. Make sure James Rodriguez didn't have time on the ball, Sigurdsson, these sorts of players. Because if you give them time, they'll find a pass, and they will definitely deal some damage to you. So hopefully we see that from United. If I had to get a predicted lineup for them, for United, I think you're going to see the same back four, though, unfortunately. I would like to see Bailly start, but he is a doubt, apparently. But I basically like to see Bailly come in for Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, either side, because they were excellent in the last game versus Southampton, although it was 10 men. Obviously, Maguire to partner along by McFred, as it's coined, so McTominay and Fred. No reason to drop them. Bruno obviously in there. Rashford on the left in his natural position. I think Mason Greenwood is fine out on the right, and I think Cavani, you got to play through the middle. I think you got to go pretty much same team except for Bailly in a center back over Lindelof and De Gea in goal. And it's pretty comfortable. But Everton might go with like their system where they basically play 4 center backs and Digne, so they're going to be a bit more solid at the back. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to potentially get the ball off them. And then for the Sunday fixtures, we have Spurs versus West Brom, a fixture that we had been marking on our calendars for potential Son and Kane captain. However, Mourinho says it's gonna be with Kane, it's gonna be without Kane. He's kind of playing a bunch of mind games. Kane had been earmarked basically to come back for either this fixture here versus Man City, or midweek in their FA Cup aspirations versus Everton. So we'll see if Mourinho is telling the truth or not. If Kane was back for this game, I mean, Son's, the captain, I would probably be most convincing to go for, but Kane obviously has been out. Ankle problems are his kind of forte, as it were. He's always had ankle problems in the past. It is a big concern. Because he is somebody who is the playmaker, and if he's out, we can see how bad, the team's the team plays, and Mourinho goes very negative, and he just kind of lumps the ball forward, and there's no one really to get the ball to Son in very dangerous areas, and he kind of has to do it himself, really. But yeah, I'm not going near Son this week. I'm going to go with Antonio. And then it's kind of a toss-up between Son and Fernandes if you're looking for that. And the stats will show which we'll get to in a second, why Antonio is so good. Then we have Wolves versus Leicester. A bit of a hard one to call because Wolves should be defensively sound, although they could have potentially conceded like 4 versus Arsenal. So could be a bit tough for them. Leicester have been in good form, and I expect them to get an away win. And Jamie Vardy he could have been back for this game, but I think they won't rush him, even though it was just a minor hernia surgery that he had. I think that they should be all right to be able to handle Wolves without him. Not really the most threatening team in the league at the moment. They'll need him for the next couple of game weeks where they play Liverpool and Aston Villa. Then we have obviously the marquee matchup for the week: Liverpool versus City. Liverpool should have Fabinho, Mane, and Alisson all back. Alisson was just a minor illness, non-COVID related. So he should be back. Again, a goalkeeper don't have to be like match fitness to be able to play in goal. So he should be back in there. Mane and Fabinho are ones that they had a bit of, I believe, muscle tweaks. But if they're going to be eyeing up a fixture, it's going to be this one. This is the only other direct chance that Liverpool can use to knock City down a peg. But I think City in this game will be happy with a draw. I think they'll be happy with a draw. If they come out of this game with the 1 point, they should be fine. But I think City are going to go look to control the game. They're going to look to just kind of do what they did versus Burnley. If they get the first goal, and then the second one doesn't come or the third one doesn't come, then it should be okay. But Liverpool are going to need to get the ball, and they're going to need to take it off City, and they're going to need to put it to them. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of fun chasing the ball around on Sunday. Chelsea versus Sheffield United should be 3 wins in 3 for the Blues. Sheffield United have been looking a lot better, so maybe they might be a little bit harder of a nut to crack defensively. But yeah, should be quite comfortable. How's it going? Glad that you could join us. And then lastly, Leeds versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace not in the best of forms, and are not the greatest defensively. And Leeds could definitely put a hampering on their parade. Leeds have a new surface at Elland Road. They've got 1 game played on it, so hopefully they're used to it now and they can do some damage. I'm benching my 3 City assets. I'm benching 2 of mine, and that's just because I have 3 defenders and I kind of sort of have to play one of them. I think Liverpool will score. I'm almost convinced of that, especially if Mane's playing, especially if Fabinho's playing, because that allows Henderson to go back into midfield almost certainly, which allows them to press and do what they do normally, and obviously reunite the front 3 that they have been so famous for having. I'm going for Rafinha and Souček over Sterling. I can see that. I can definitely see that. And the reason I can see that is because of the fact that, well, 1, Sterling could potentially be a rotation risk, but he is very expensive. But 2, in the big games, especially versus like United and Chelsea, these sorts of teams, he doesn't necessarily do enough for me and doesn't necessarily contribute to the attack. Now that's not saying he could completely go off this week. He could, but you wouldn't bet on him getting much in that. I'd be interested to see the rest of your team, to see who you'd be benching him for. But yeah, Sterling usually plays poor versus Liverpool. Yeah, he plays poor versus Liverpool, United, and Chelsea, I think, are the 3 main teams. But Rafinha, obviously Crystal Palace at home. He's got 2 returns and 2, so he's doing quite well. Souček, again, great fixture against a team that's not very good at defending headers. So he's definitely in my team as well, for sure. But yeah, I'd be interested to see your entire team to see who you could, if you wanted to play Sterling, who would it be potentially for? Um, but I'm just gonna bring up that image if I can across here. So this is the TED Talks image that he posted. So basically, the higher up the dot on the list, that's the better chance the player, the captain, has of scoring because their opponent's XG conceded is way higher. So that means they concede more likely goals. And the XGI is expected goal involvement. So you want to be as far to the top and the right of the list. So you can see the likes of Salah, very low on both of those categories. Not really necessarily the best captaincy option this week. These middle ground ones, Souček, Zaha, Barnes, Madison, Bamford, Watkins, Gundogan, Sterling, Grealish, they're all kind of in the middle ground, so they're all okay captains based on the statistics of their opponent's defense and how involved they've been in goals. And then you can start to see the ones emerging. So Son is up at the very top because of the fact that his opponent's XGI, or XG rather, conceded is very bad in West Brom. Lacazette and Saka have just been very good because Aston Villa have been conceding goals as of late, and they've been very involved in the goals that they have been. Bruno's been more on the XGI rather than his opponent's XG conceded, and Antonio's just the best in both worlds. Fulham do concede goals, and his XGI has been fantastic. So that is why I think Antonio's the best, because he's up in the far right corner of that graph. Starting 11 is Martinez, Rudiger, Justin, and Kufal. Yep, I think those three defenders are fine. Souček, Salah, Bruno, Fernandes, captain, Rafinha, Bamford, Antonio, vice captain, and Wilson benching Johnston, Stones, Diaz, and Sterling. Yeah, so for me, what did Southampton? How did Southampton do versus Wilson? How did Southampton do versus Newcastle last time? Southampton won 2-0. But again, Southampton are quite vulnerable at the moment, so I do like Wilson potentially over Sterling. In terms of home form, let's see Wilson. So scored a big haul at home, one away, haul at home, return at home. Yeah, Wilson seems to return at home quite a lot, so Wilson can do a bit of work, but remember last time that Southampton did lose 9-0. They went on a bit of a tear. Mind you, it depends on who's back. Because Benderek is not suspended. He got a red card in the game versus Man United, but they did an appeal and they actually rescinded the red card completely. Because they felt that he made a genuine attempt to get out of the way. And that is what it is. Me personally, I think if you get yourself in a bad position, but then you try to genuinely get away from the person, you're already in a bad position where they can create contact. And in this day and age with VAR, they're going to be on the microscope looking down the lens saying, you know, did this guy even touch him? Yes, he did. Okay, well, it's a penalty and it's a red card because by the letter of the law, he denied a goal scoring opportunity. That's how I see it. I think it's harsh. I think they should be a bit more conservative with dishing out these sorts of penalties and red cards because I think players are a bit too soft. And you don't see enough cards for diving personally. But yeah, I like that team. Bruno captain is, in my opinion, I think it's fine. I just think that with Pogba in the team, he could be a bit more restricted because of his output. How's it going, Mono? How's it been? My team is Mendy, Kufal, Cancelo, and Lowton. Okay, that back line is good. Mane, Barnes, Madison, Fernandes, Son, Watkins, and DCL benching Johnston, Stones, Digne, and Brewster. So pretty easy to bench players this week for your team, Harry. I don't know who to captain. Well, to me personally, I think you only really have two options. It's Son or Fernandez. If you're going for fixture, I think Son has the better fixture. Um, if you're going for, just form, I would say Fernandez because he's in slightly better form than Son. And United have been playing well versus Everton. But on the off chance that Kane does come back and Mourinho is playing mind games or something, Sprom are so terrible that that Son might actually end up getting something. But is it like Jose Mourinho's team to go out there and go 3-4-5-0? No. Is United's like that? Yes, because they showed that versus Southampton. So you have to think who is more likely to get a return based on their current form. And I think you'd have to say Fernandez, even though his first return didn't come until their 7th goal, I think. So we will see in regards to that. But I think either of those for your team should be fine. Oh, 5th goal. He got an assist somewhere down the line. His goal came in like the 7th or 8th goal. I can't really remember, but Bruno captain for you, Mono. Yep, I mean, yeah, Bruno's going to be up there. The thing is that with this week, I think Bruno might be Bruno and Son might touch 100% ownership, but it's going to be pretty spread, I think. I think there's going to be people that are going to be doubting Son and going for Bruno. There's going to be people doubting or flocking to Bruno just because it's just natural. But again, they'll look and see Everton and they'll think, well, maybe that's not necessarily as good. Which is why I'm going for Antonio, because I think the stats show that Antonio is the best option. Also, if there was another picture I wanted to take a look at as well. Where is it to? So this is another picture here that courtesy of TED Talks FPL has put up, and basically this is a clean sheet probability. So the further you are to the top and to the right means that you are more likely to concede goals. The further are you down to the bottom left, so you see West Ham. West Ham are very likely to keep a clean sheet because their opponent's XG isn't very good and their XG conceded is very low. City is further over because their XG conceded is very low, but their opponent's XG is actually decent. Liverpool do score some goals, but Fulham is the most likely to concede in the top right because they're the furthest, mostly the furthest up and furthest over, because West Ham's XG is so good, and West Ham least likely to concede. So I think if you have Kufau on your bench, I think he's one of the ones I would definitely have in my team this week, especially over a City defender. So thanks to TED Talks FPL for that graphic. You follow him on Twitter. He's very good as well. Often on the Scoutcast and stuff as well. Should Stones be benched? It depends on who your Man City assets are. But for me personally, I have 3 City defenders. So if you can see with my team, I brought in Nick Pope. I've also brought in Ben Mee. So I brought in Nick Pope for Johnston, and then I've just benched Martinez. And then I brought in Ben Mee for Rob Holding. So I've kept my 3 City assets to see kind of how things transpire and get a little bit more information to see if the double game weeks are going to be more defensive favored or more attacking favored. So we'll see. And again, I'm always not opposed to doing a -4. Like I can get Salah out, take out Stones, bring in a defender for the double game week, and then bring in Sterling or something like that. So we'll see. But if you had to choose between like defenders to play, you obviously play Cancelo because of the fact that Cancelo is the more attacking fullback, and Stones and Diaz are defenders. Yeah, Stones can get a goal. Yeah, Diaz can get a goal. But I think Cancelo is going to be quite creative. And if he doesn't play, then I have Diaz second because I think he's the most likely to play. So he would come in if Cancelo didn't play. But I think they're all three of them are going to play. I mean, we might see Pep go with the same system he went with Cancelo, Diaz, Stones, and Laporte, but I think he'll probably play Walker and shift Cancelo over to left back. And then Walker will kind of play in that center back three, and then Cancelo will be more on the left hand side of the of like the midfield that we were talking about, which means Bernardo Silva will probably slip into the midfield three and go to the right because he'll just they'll have more in-swinging crosses, which Liverpool are quite susceptible to because their centre backs aren't great going backwards, not the paciest. Dallas or Rafinha, definitely play Rafinha over Dallas. Rafinha's the attacker. You always go with the attacker. Yes, Dallas, well, I mean, technically Dallas is an attacker too. But Rafinha is more likely to be involved in a goal than Dallas is. I think I answered this, but yes, I did transfer in Pope for Johnston. I'm selling Rudiger for Ben Mee next round, and we'll have another transfer as well. Yeah, a lot of people are saving saving a transfer this week so that they can go in with 2 for next week, so that they can see their strategy for game week 26. Me personally, I think that I'm actually going to see if I can bring it up on the side while I'm talking about it. Me personally, I think that Burnley, they might have an okay fixture set of doubles. So if I bring it up, Burnley are, where's Burnley? They're gonna have Tottenham and Leicester. So again, not ideal, but again, we can always shift them on for other players, and we also have a wild card as well. So we can easily transition out of that. The plan was to wildcard in Gameweek 25 and then bench boost in 26. The only problem is after that is that your bench will be holding a bit of money, but at the moment that's not necessarily a big thing because Vardy's still currently out, KDB's still out, and Kane's still out at the moment. So a lot of these big assets are still out. Should I be consider captaining Madison or Barnes? I don't think so. I think there's definitely better options than them. Yeah, they could do well, but they are a differential pick in itself already by having them in your team. So I don't think you need to double down on it. Who are the extra games in the next round? So in game week 23, there's been 3 sets of fixtures that have been added. So in game week 24, Burnley, Fulham, Everton, and Man City have a double game week. So the fixtures that have been added is Burnley at home to Fulham and Everton at home to Man City. Now, if you remember the Everton City game, this was one of the games that was called off due to City having trouble with COVID, as well as the Burnley Fulham game was also called off because of COVID, and that was due to Fulham. So these 2 fixtures have been added in game week 24. That'll be the next game week. This will be the game week after the FA Cup fixtures, which are midweek next week. So Man City's double in this week is Spurs at home, Everton away. Burnley's fixtures for the week will be Crystal Palace away, Fulham at home. Everton's fixtures for the week will be Fulham at home, City at home, and then Fulham's fixtures lastly is Everton away, Burnley away. So that is the fixtures for the Game Week 24. So if you have any Everton players, if you have any Man City players, Burnley players, Fulham players, they double in 24. Will we know the doubles in 26 before a Game Week 25? We will know what fixtures will be in Game Week 26 almost certainly before or game week 24, if not during it. They'll be calculated before then by Ben Crellin. So if you haven't followed him, make sure to do so. Because the FA Cup fixtures are the determining factor as to which fixtures will be moved in there. So we'll definitely know which teams have doubles for sure. But yeah. And then there was another fixture added in game week 25, which is Leeds and Southampton. So Leeds have a double as well as Southampton do in game week 25. So any Leeds or Southampton assets will play twice in game week 25, the week before the big double game week fixtures. So Leeds play Wolves away and Southampton at home, and Southampton play Chelsea at home and Southampton away. So they have a double as well. Brighton XG is around 6, which makes them top 6 for the last 4 matches, but have only scored 3 in those games. Not worried about the stats evening out with double Burnley defense. No, not at all. I think Burnley, in the last fixture that they had versus Brighton, was a no-no. Brighton, in my opinion, I don't see them as having threats that will play consistently. In terms of being a threat in front of goal, and that has definitely changed because of the fact that Danny Welbeck is injured. I think the constantly rotating like front men, as it were, for Brighton. Yes, they'll probably create chances, but again, you need to create very good chances in order to beat Nick Pope in goal, because Burnley are going to let you shoot. They'll let you shoot all the time. But what Burnley are very good at is the way that they play their system in their low block, is when they have a position where they allow you to shoot, they have this they control the situation and such where they funnel the ball into a situation where Pope doesn't have to go laterally, basically. If you look at a lot of the way Pope racks up a lot of saves and ends up getting bonus points and keeping a clean sheet, is when Burnley, Tarkowski and me specifically, put themselves in such a way to either they block the shot completely, or they make it so that the attacker on the opposing team has to shoot down a channel, to whereas Pope only has to go vertically rather than horizontally. He doesn't have to dive either side. He can basically take it within basically his frame, which Burnley's very good at that. And if Brighton's XG, again, XG is expected goals, yes, they should be scoring more, but that's probably down to the fact that their players aren't as clinical or as good in front of goal. Maupay being one of them, very wasteful, in my opinion, in front of goal. And we've seen that not necessarily in just the last, last 4 matches, but also across the whole season. I mean, Brighton versus Man United very early on in the season could have easily scored way more than what they did, but that's a trend just with Brighton because they don't have forwards that can score on a consistent basis, and that's why they brought in Danny Welbeck, because they thought that he could help out with that. But obviously he is injured. And I like Pope and Ben Mee's chances. Also, Ben Mee from set pieces could provide a bit of a scare for Brighton, who are good in their own right on set pieces, or at least should be good in their own right. But often, like I remember there was one game where they were playing against a team where who were very weak at set pieces, and they just kept doing a short corner. I can't remember exactly who it was. Which is quite interesting. But Burnley are going to let you just cross the ball in, because they'll just keep heading it out all day, every day. And Burnley should be able to press quite well as well. Brighton like it when a team presses them, but they do it in certain scenarios. Also, with Barnes and Chris Wood likely to be out, they'll have Vidra and Jay Rodriguez, who are most likely going to be a little bit pacier up front. And could potentially get in behind as well. So the long ball might be a little bit more effective with Brighton potentially trying to push up. And also Burnley are at home. Burnley, when they play at home, seem to do a lot better. So if we look at Nick Pope's clean sheet potential at home um, this season, so I think when did Ben Mee come back? Because he was the one that was out. So from game week 8 onwards, since Ben Mee has been back. So one clean sheet away, one clean sheet at home. Then they obviously lost away to, City. It was a 1-1. Then they won away. They got another clean sheet away. At home, they ended up getting the victory, but they didn't keep a clean sheet. Clean sheet at home, clean sheet at home, clean sheet away. So they've actually been doing a lot better away than I thought they have. But they do tend to play a lot more consistently, I would say, at home. At least last season and some parts, but just saw that Ola Hovid captains Bruno. I don't know who that is. Is that the guy leading an FPL or something? Could be. I don't even know who's first in FPL. Number 1 in the world. Okay, yeah, makes sense. So he's captaining Bruno. Um, yeah, the reason I'm kind of wary of captaining Bruno is because when Pogba does play, it seems like Bruno gets less of the ball, and Pogba's kind of the one that is a little bit more of a goal threat, whereas Bruno's kind of rooted more towards a chance creator, which you want Bruno to be the one, setting up somebody and then getting in the box after the fact, whereas then Pogba has that duty. So, but yeah, let's take a look at some of the tables we got going on here. So we got the goals imminent table. So this is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So if you haven't signed up to this, it's a great offer. I believe it's £20 for the whole year. I think that's the offer still. And they usually have a little bit of a deal at the beginning of each season as well, where you get a little bit of a discount off. And you can create fantastic tables and all that sort of stuff. Heat maps, season tickers, rate my teams, all that sort of stuff. In the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So make sure to go check that out. But yeah, this is the goals imminent table. So these are players that have a minimum of 10 goal attempts and a maximum of 1 goal in the last 4 matches. So right at the top of that is Mikel Antonio himself. So he should be definitely scoring more than what he has been, and he could be quite good. Sadio Mane could be coming back, maybe gets a goal versus Liverpool. De Bruyne, he's going to be on that table for quite a while because he's still going to be injured. Bruno Fernandes is on there. He's had a lot of goal attempts, but not really many big chances per se. He's only had just the one big chance, which was a penalty he had versus Southampton. Ziyech is on there, who hasn't been playing. I don't know if it's an injury or if he's just out of favor now. Not really sure there. Calvert-Lewin is on there, so glad to see that I have him in my team. Madison is on there, and Jonjo Shelvey, funnily enough, is on there. So, yeah. Out of all the captaincy options this week, you see that Bruno's on there and Antonio's on there, but Son's not on there because Son's not getting shots. So, a bit interesting on that front. Let's take a look at the Whipping Boys table. So this is sorted by XG conceded. So obviously Southampton's is a bit inflated due to the fact that United's XG was like over 5 when they scored 9 goals. So they're going to be inflated quite a lot. But if you look in the top 5 for XG conceded, you have the likes of West Brom and Fulham that are in there as well. So Son could be in for a good day there, as well as Antonio in for Fulham. Burnley is up there as well, but Burnley will naturally generate a lot higher XG. And so if we check on big chances conceded, they're a little bit further down due to the fact that they invite a large volume of shots. And have less of the ball for that. And Burnley also have a lot less goals conceded, so they're further down on the goals conceded than some of the other teams as well. Yeah, and then Brighton obviously doing quite well defensively. I don't expect Burnley to score versus Brighton, but I don't expect Brighton to score versus Burnley either. I expect Brighton to have more of the ball, and if Brighton do end up scoring, then the numbers would suggest that they should be scoring. But I just don't think they have someone consistently that's going to be able to get in and around the box without getting it blocked or that sort of stuff. You need to be very, very creative and catch Burnley off guard. And at Turf Moor, they are a lot more solid, at least from what I've seen, with the eye test overall. The season ticker. So over the next 3 fixtures in attack, Man United, Burnley, West Ham, and Crystal Palace are in the top 4. In defense, Burnley is top. So a reason why to bring in Burnley defense. I think Nick Pope should keep a clean sheet in probably 2 out of those 3. So it could be quite good, and maybe there's an attack and return for Ben Mee as well, but we'll see. Can't really get rid of Justin, Kufau, or Stones for me, can I? You could potentially get rid of John Stones, and then free up a City slot if you need it. Any good Burnley strikers? Well, Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood are out. I don't know how long they're supposed to be out for. But no, I wouldn't go anywhere near the Burnley strikers, to be honest. If you're going to go for a Burnley striker, just go for a Burnley fullback for chance creation. Like, if Chris Wood was fit, then maybe you could say Chris Wood, but probably not. I wouldn't go there, in my opinion. And then lastly, if I look at my team, so one of the transfers I was thinking of doing was Salah out, and this would be for even a -4 for Rashford, because of how good United's fixtures were, as we saw. Attacking wise, they are up the top. But if we look at the XGI and output table, so this is sorted by expected goal involvement. If we look, this is over the last 6 matches. Rashford is bottom. 0.92 expected goal involvement is not great. Has created no big chances and has only had 1 big chance himself. He's only had 3 shots inside the box, and they've been on target, and then 7 shots overall. So again, not great, where Salah still has the underlying numbers over the last 6. 1 big chance created, 4 big chances total, 7 regular chances created, and is expected to have been involved in 3.44 goals or assists. I have Salah out for Rashford. Yeah, I mean, the fixtures would say Rashford should be good. But the numbers show that Salah should still be fine. And with Mane back, with Fabinho back, with Alisson back, that could rejuvenate them, knowing that they have to go into this game and say, okay, we've lost 2 at home and on the bounce. We hadn't lost for, 3+ years or whatever it was. We got to go in this game, and we got to be picking up max points versus City, because otherwise City are going to run away with the league. Because if City beat Liverpool, it's league's, they're going to be so confident and they're going to be way out ahead. But I think City will also take a draw as well. So Liverpool need to go out, they need to get the ball, they need to show them that they're at home, and that they're going to be the ones controlling the game. And if they get that early goal, then they could potentially cause City some problems. And they need to stop City from getting a foothold in the game and maintaining that fierce control that they've had so far over the past several weeks, where they've just been keeping clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. Did a hit last week for Rashford out for Salah, a bit annoying. Yeah, it is what it is, but I think Salah, you're still want him for the double game week anyway, because I think they have Sheffield United and Chelsea, which Sheffield United should be okay. And Chelsea are going to probably be without Thiago Silva, who looks to have picked up a muscle injury. But how long he's going to be out, we don't know. But you would think that Liverpool would have their new signings bedded in as well over the January window, and then maybe they can put Henderson and Fabinho back in midfield, because that's what we're waiting for, to see if Fabinho and Henderson in midfield make them better, which it should. Um, but if you look at the expected goal involvement here, Antonio is way out in front over the last 6 matches. Bruno Fernandes is not far behind. Sterling, Salah, Gundogan, Son, Bamford, and Rashford. Um, I think Ben Davies might start against City. I think Kabak or whatever his name is, the guy that came from Schalke, I think is more likely to play. In my opinion, I think he's more likely to play. Oh, I could be wrong. But I think there's nothing wrong with Nate Phillips. I thought he was perfectly fine versus Brighton. It's not like he was the one at fault for the goal. I think he was making a genuine attempt to block it, I think, as well. It may have ricocheted off of him, but I don't think he's done anything wrong. He's very composed in terms of, playing out from the back. And he's very good on set pieces in terms of defending them. The only thing I would think is that is potentially positionally, when Liverpool have to defend in their own box on the ground, then maybe he could be a bit more susceptible. But our new signing's going to necessarily do that much better and click with the system right away? We'll have to see. But I think if you can definitely get Fabinho is definitely better than Henderson at center back for sure. So if you have Fabinho in there, Nate Phillips in there, or one of the signings, then you could potentially be looking at something that's quite good. You can allow Thiago to push up a little bit further forward, but we'll see. I don't think the new signings are going to come in this game at least. Liverpool will probably save it for another day. They may look to try them in the FA Cup before they go and put them in versus Leicester. So we will see. Dallas or Gundogan? Gundogan, I would think. Dallas is a better fixture, but probably you got to go with Gundogan, surely. Hey Nabadinho, thank you for following as well. I have Grealish captain and Bam Bam vice captain with Fernandes, Salah, and Sterling on the pitch. Is that really bad? No, I think it's perfectly fine. I think Grealish is definitely a decent captaincy shout. Although Arsenal defensively have been very good, but that has mainly come down to the fact that their defense has been, kind of same in, same out, and they've had Burton Leno in goal. Excuse me. But with potentially Runerson or Matt Ryan in goal, that could cause them some problems. So, yeah, Matt Ryan could also be out too. I'm not sure. I think it was just a knock. I think he should be okay, but yeah. No problem. I'm glad that we can help. That's what we're here for. That's why we do the streams. We like the interactivity, and we like seeing how people choose to play the game. Very interesting decisions overall. But yeah, so I made, like I said, the transfers I made, I have 0.2 left in the bank. I got Pope in. I did these transfers on Friday, so Pope had already gone up 0.1, which isn't, not really too bad. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything wrong with Pope or Ben Mee, which I assume that there wouldn't be. So brought in Pope for Johnston and brought in Ben Mee for Rob Holding. Play Souček? Yeah, of course. Yeah, Souček has Fulham. I believe Fulham, there was a stat that they said on the Scoutcast, which was Fulham and Crystal Palace are the two worst teams over the last 4 game weeks for headed attempts conceded at goal, which seems pretty good to me. So if you got Bamford, who's pretty decent in the air, and then you got Antonio, Souček, and Ogbonna, these sorts of players, they are very good in the air. You really don't like Fulham? No, I just think Fulham are going to try to play good football. They're going to try to play well. I like the way that they're trying to play. It's just I think that personnel-wise, I just don't think that they have the ability. I can envision in my head how I want to play football. Oh, I'm going to do a Cruyff turn, a couple step overs, shift it onto my right foot and bend it into the top corner. But that usually ends up with me, as I do the Cruyff turn, falling over the ball, trying to desperately get back up, trying to do a step over, and then because my shoelaces are undone, I fall and roll my ankle on the ball, and then I don't get a shot off because I limp off the pitch. You know, there's things that you can envision in your head, and there's things that you can that actually is actual reality. Fulham, Brighton, these two teams in particular, they play fantastic, good football, but do they have clinical finishers up front? Not necessarily. You could play fantastic and beautiful looking football, or the right way to play, but you leave yourself susceptible at the back. And I think West Ham have just been in such good form. Plus Antonio is a beast, so I think he could definitely cause them all sorts of problems. And teams at home, at least, teams are more inclined to kind of have a go. Not necessarily Burnley. In that sense, Burnley kind of play the same way no matter where they are. But like Fulham, as an example, when Fulham play at home, they play a little bit more expansive than what they normally would away from home. West Brom are the same way, and it makes sense. At home you should be playing. Trying to play. Be on the front foot at home. Is West Brom a team to consider from game week 25? Probably not, I would say. The only West Brom player you probably consider is Pereira, who has been on fire. But nah, not looking at it. Not looking at them. Maybe if there's a double game, if you're going to bench boost and Johnston's a goalkeeper that you potentially fancy, but yeah, I don't see it personally. And then for the double game weeks, West Brom are probably likely to have Brighton and Everton. Do they keep a clean sheet in one of those? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. I don't see it though. Probably not ideal. Less than 3 minutes left. About 2.5 minutes. I'm selling Johnston to Pope next week. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that as well. If you have the wild card still, I mean, you can do whatever transfers you feel like. And that was another reason why I used my 2 transfers this week, is because I can if I want to wildcard next week, I can. So Ainsley, Maitland-Niles for West Brom. Yeah, Maitland-Niles should come in and do well, but again, he is an unknown at the moment. You can say on paper he could do well, but he might not. Son or Bruno captain? The numbers would suggest Bruno Fernandes would be the best captaincy choice based on expected goal involvement, which is what I'm going off of. Also, he's been in better form than Son, and United have been good versus Everton, so that's what I would go with personally. If I knew Kane was playing, the armband would be on Son, but that's something that we can't consider. Lingard triple captain for the differential and risky people, yeah. One step ahead of me, yeah. I mean, you can. Maybe Lingard scores a hat trick. Hopefully Antonio gets all 3 assists. That'd be nice. Less than 1 minute, so make sure your teams are ready and set to go. I'm just going to refresh here. So we'll run through the lineup one more time. Pope in goal in favor of Martinez. Kufau, Ben-Mee, and Cancelo. I've gone with Cancelo just because he's the more attacking option. He's a fullback. Souček, Salah, Fernandes, Son, Barnes, Antonio, captain, Bamford, vice captain. I'm not going to leave the vice captain on Bamford. I'll put on Fernandes just because. But definitely want Antonio for this week. And then Calvert-Lewin, Diaz, and Stones on the bench. So 15 seconds left here. Make sure you've got your bench in order. Make sure you've got your captaincy in order. Make sure all of that is sorted. So we got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, 0. That should be the deadline for game week 23. Wilson on my bench is very sad. Yeah, I mean, there was somebody in there earlier who had Wilson instead of Sterling, which was interesting. So we'll see. Could be quite interesting. But yeah, there we go. Please try again later when the updated scores and teams will be available. So yeah. Last second, Bruno captain over Barnes. Yeah, hopefully it works out. I'm not sure if Bruno will be over 100% 100% ownership, but we will see on that front. But let's move over to the big screen here. Thank you all for joining us for the Game Week 23 deadline stream. If you haven't done so, make sure to drop us a follow here on Twitch, as well as subscribe over on YouTube, and follow us over on Twitter. We will be retweeting probably a bunch of stuff throughout the week next week because of the FA Cup fixtures, and that will determine what fixtures are going to be in Double Game Week 26. So make sure to check us out for that. In terms of, we'll be doing the preview probably Monday or Tuesday. Either Monday or Tuesday, Harry, I think. Haven't fully decided. Almost certainly going to be doing a tactics talk. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that on Monday or Sunday, but we will see. But we'll definitely be doing a deadline stream because I believe the 23 deadline or 24 deadline is Saturday as well. So it's either going to be Monday or Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday, just because I wait for the game to update and that sort of stuff, and we just do a captaincy video Monday or whatever it may be. But yeah, we have a full week next week. I'm going to be probably looking to do a video on probably Friday on the double game week fixtures because by then they'll have been calculated and that sort of stuff. So. And then they'll obviously be discussed on the deadline stream. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Follow all the socials and that sort of good stuff. And until the next one, take care.